If my leg was chopped off, would you tell me I'm lucky to still have my head? Just curious. Oh, that's very helpful to know. Thank you for that. She is, but it's my baby sister. Caused all this fuss. I hate sisters. Sorry, very funny. You don't know how embarrassing it was to have a howler show up in front of everyone. Yes, all right, Professor. That's exactly what happened. They ruined the garden almost overnight. Just hawk lumps? Exactly. It's my little sister. She likes to play with earthworms, so last time I was home I found some for her. She's the worst sister ever. I get her the earthworms, and next thing you know, we've got hawk lumps. My mum's livid. Yes, all right. We know some of us like herbology. Remind me never to bring up my problems when I'm talking to you. I'll say, that's not going to help you much around thieves, is it? What didn't shrink? Ah, I said. These'll be exceptional to protect my legs from all the bramble in the forest. Turns out the trousers were moleskin. Oh, dearie me. I can tell you, nothing in those trousers was protected. Don't worry. I once bought a pair of sturdy trousers from Gladrags. Made of leather, or so I thought. Absolutely. Course. It doesn't hurt if you've got a U-weaver. Yes. Parents bought it for me for my birthday. To make up for the neglect. Oh, don't sound worried. Trust me, it's a good thing. Ever since my baby sister was born, they've been completely occupied with her. They make up for it by buying me practically anything I ask for. It's really quite grand. That's a shame. Are you not then? Well, if Spintwitches does any sort of promotion on the U-Weaver, I can let you know. Quidditch. Used to be played with the dragon's bladder. In Germany, at least. Stickstock the game was called. I'm just grateful we don't have to play with a dragon's bladder. Makes us seem very civilized now, doesn't it? Almost boring. Oh, can you imagine the fun they had using them on the opposition? I might complain that it's slightly hard to work out what the 700 ways to foul are. A likely plan. They banned that too. At least we get to take our wands on the pitch. That's somewhat comforting. Not that you can use them. That's the spirit. You didn't. Surely that wouldn't be at all comparable to an iron bludger. You made your own bludger out of scarab beetles and dung. I'm not sure I've seen you play on the pitch. The actual Hogwarts pitch. I've seen you pottering about the moors. You actually played with this unsanitary piece of sporting gear? No. Can't say I have. How can dung and dead beetles possibly be better than a real bludger? I don't think I saw other students on the moors. Not flying. It was only you. That's why I remember it. Do you not feel I'm confident? Oh, I see. I suppose if you're offering to let me use your dung bludger, your beetle bludger, I'd like to borrow it then, please. I could do with a bit more confidence now that I think of it. I don't know why you're so bothered. I found the whole thing rather funny. She'd come back from Zonko's. What sort were you expecting? Then they're aptly named, aren't they? Was it a burning sensation, would you say? Or more of a popping? Yes. You did look rather flushed now that I think of it. I think not. I'm more of a fizzing whiz-bee sort of chap. She was, until my mother bought her a stink pellet. Now she's become this delirious monster. It's serious. I think it's the green smoke. It's her favourite colour. I can't believe my mother didn't think of that. It is. Every time I'm at home, it's as though we're living in a swamp. A vile green cesspit of a swamp. Because she spoils her. My mother's happy to wear a scarf around her face to block the smell. It's ridiculous. What? What is it? Although what? A frog. A frog? You're a genius. A bright green spectacular frog. That's a brilliant idea. Ugh, that would be terrible. Awful. An ordeal beyond compare. No, it's off. The frog's off. Grows out of it? How long would that take? The bubblehead charm. I can have a normal life. I can walk about as though I have a fishbowl on my head, living a perfectly normal life. Seems rather extreme, not to go home. I'm sure it's nothing like it in the least, with the exception that it can go horribly wrong. What? No, of course not. Yes, I'm aware. Muggles have a lot of different words for things. They might as well be French. Well, they do go wrong though, don't they? Sometimes. I'm not saying it was my fault that I forgot the spine of lionfish, just that I was focused more on the belladonna. Oh, I mean, nothing serious. I'd forgotten that belladonna was the one that was also called deadly nightshade. It appears I had the entirely wrong recipe, and I ended up hallucinating. Ah, well, I can see why you'd say that. But the thing is, it was only a hallucination. Nothing drastic. I was suddenly at Durmstrang and started to tell off the teachers for using dark magic. Oh no, I had scrapes all over me, from fighting the cockatrice in my mind. Then a Bulgarian boy set a cockatrice on me, Vicious beak they've got, those things. Come to think of it, I'd imagine Muggle chemistry is a lot safer. By the disappointed look on Binz's face every time he sees you, I think you're breaking his heart. Let me guess, catching up on history of magic? I don't mind Binz if I'm honest. People moan about him, but he doesn't mean anyone any harm. Not like Howin. She certainly means me harm. It's a wonder she hasn't put a basilisk under my desk. She's never been the same since. I was working on history of magic. Yes, lesson officially learned. Oh, meant to ask, can I copy your herbology notes about Privet?
I'm not saying you have to be boring, but surely people admire someone who's kind and loyal. I highly doubt she's after being turned into that. Ugh, that's such a lie. You're worrying far too much. Now, if you play up in class, get on Weasley's bad side, well, you might deserve to be turned into a plant. Stop. As you say, Hufflepuffs are inclined towards plants. If you get turned into one, I'll be sure to prune you. Yes, we all know who you admire. I'm sure Everett Clopton's ears are burning. You worry far too much. I'm a Hufflepuff, and I shan't be letting anyone turn me into a venomous tentacular. How can you say that? Of course they are. It's what all of us strive to be. I'm literally going to be sick. Nearly dying, you mean? Drawn out the lion, don't you mean? Bravo, Gryffindor. Willing to risk your life at a moment's notice. You do know you're a wizard. Oh, hello, Madam Kagawa. I'm not encouraging you. Oh, hello, Madam Kagawa. Well, speak for yourself. I've seen a rat in our common room, and it could be rather handy to have a light at night. Yes, well, she might expel me. Well, I might have come with you. But now you've got me thinking how useful it would be to turn a rat into a lamp. Fine, I'm making it all up. He never shuts up about you. My lips are sealed. I can't say I find it too distracting myself. I swear I can't win around here. Next time I shall keep Clopton's musings to myself. It's a very quiet whisper, though. I think you're making a bit of a fuss. But to be clear, you feel the library's an acceptable place for a tongue-tying hex. Nobody saw me. I don't see the harm. Point well taken. I just thought he'd like to get out of his cage for a bit. I wouldn't mind. Balthazar's quite partial to detention. Who says I was trying to impress anyone? I don't see why you're making a fuss. Yes, I heard her. Stop. Just stop. Making a fuss. Well, you don't know him. Balthazar's very sensitive and very partial to the library. But the fact we're having this conversation is fuss. Oh, how thrilling. I'm happy to let you know, but I'm not sure it's as exciting as you might think. Next time? You're not hopeless, just not very good. Thanks for that. Tell on them, did you? Thanks for that. What kind was it anyway? Broom. You need a remembrall, you do. Well, they won't be having that for long. Kagawa can spot an unauthorized broom a mile away. Well, perhaps you should tell on them. Then it'll get confiscated, and you can go and steal it from Black's cupboard. Don't tell me one little arm break and you're already out. It was only an experimental maneuver, that was all. That is true. Fascinating tales she's got. You want to get her telling you about bewitched big toes. Ugh, it's chilling. Tell us about your injuries then. Go on. Funny that. Last I heard, you'd been bitten by an enchanted bee and had a buzzing elbow for a week. I beg to differ. It is my belief that a buzzing anything is in fact ripe for callous, unfettered mockery. Yes, a buzzing nose. That would have been a good one. Obviously not. No, we just meant if you were a bit dead, we'd probably be more excited than if you were just a bit buzzy. Oh, you don't want that then. Not when you're 50 feet in the air. Have you not had good experiences with Quidditch then? With snitches. She was enchanting quills to write the essays, going through ink like a crop at a water bowl. And some. My sister was going to buy me a new one, but then she took up a new hobby and that was that. When I reminded her about the new broom, she simply said she'd run out of money from buying all the ink. Writing essays on Patronuses. I've sent her an owl with a drawing of your decrepit thing. I reckon that'll give her the hint. No, she's right. It's literally that. A big fierce bear. If the shape you're after's a chimney. Yes, that's what I was saying. When you interrupted. Yes, it does. If you've had too many cauldron cakes, then you're bearing down on a quaffle, snitch in sight. No good playing on an empty stomach. What? As I was saying, that concentration. You're watching the snitch, minding the bludgers, and in a split second you... What are you talking about? Stomach rumbles. As I was saying, you're leaning in so hard you think your broom's going to snap, and then, yes, as I was saying, that being the pertinent phrase of the moment, I give up. I might as well head out into the world and try to have a conversation with a Jarvie. And one minute she's saying her uncle invented cricket, and the next she's saying she's a pureblood. You can't believe a word she says. I'm very sorry, but you can't be both. I'd like to see a pureblood have anything to do with cricket. What? Good job there's no Slytherins about hearing you say that. How should I know who invented cricket? Muggle sports. Well, that's not much good then, is it? Do you want to know any other things? I mean, no offence whatsoever, but what would a housekeeper know about our cancelled Quidditch? It shouldn't be allowed. What? No, it doesn't. I'm not interested in Muggle sports. Not at all. Why are we talking about this? It's nothing to jest about. All I know is that for a school of such renown as Hogwarts, to cancel Quidditch warrants looking into. Well, you don't have a father who's been declaring you next in line for the Quidditch Cup since you were 3. How's that? Well, have you heard anything from this housekeeper? Well, besides that, what's the worst that could happen? I still think it'd be worth it. You haven't heard the complete idea yet, so how can you judge it to be absurd? Just hear me out. We meet at midnight, at the pitch. We deserve to play, and play we should. Yes, it is a mutiny, and so it should be. What right does one man have to cancel the most beloved part of our entire school year? It's an outrage. That's not fair. You'd already decided you were going to say that before I even said anything. We play. We practice. What harm are we doing to chase about our brooms in the dead of night? What harm? And I want it on record that that man is going to be the least popular headmaster that Hogwarts ever has. Yes, that'd be fine. Well, don't forget it's your turn to pay. It was only my opinion. Should have heard them. You'd think I'd said we should play wearing blindfolds. Might be silly to you, but you're more adept on a broom than I am. Thank you. I shall remember that next time your cauldron overflows in potions. Shan't stand in front next time. And imagine soaring through the air with a pile of branches in your face. I suppose we should be thankful we don't have to fly on uprooted trees. That's how they used to do it. Oh, good. That would have been a shame. Wonder if it was robins. Do you really reckon starling eggs are better than blackbirds? I find the brown spots rather ornate myself. You should be glad of Bowman Wright of Godric's Hollow. He's the man behind the golden snitch. I'd still like to see it played with a snidget. Without a repelling charm. Clever man, our Bowman Wright. Clever man. Well, it could escape, I don't care. In fact, it would escape with no repelling spells to keep it to the confines of the arena. She's in detention more time than she's in class. I find her quite terrifying. Misinterpreted. Misinterpret what? Oh, heavens no. I have to sit 2 desks away from her in charms, and I make sure I never even look at her. A sign? Oh gosh, I wouldn't want that. For her to think I was being defiant. Hex me. Oh, goodness. Now I'm worried about even going to charms. What do you mean, that's that? Oh, dear. He's in raptures when she gives me the Hickoff sweets. Oh, dear. Oh, dear, what am I to do? What? I'm not that good in charms, really? You're not frightened of her? Well, that's how nice she is. She saw us and pretended not to see. What? Because she lets us eat sugar quills in class and pretends not to see. Yes, I'll do your charms homework for you. Whatever you need. Thank you. There aren't enough mirrors in the class for that. Are we certain there's not a portrait of you hanging in Black's office? Not related to him, are you? She is the prettiest professor, I'll give you that. As pretty as sharp as handsome. In Black's case, being a muggle-hating charm grinder seemed to do the trick. That was last term. Ah, I remember that. You didn't stop blushing for weeks. I say, we let him be the one to cast the trick jinx on Sharp. Oh, so you can make a mess of it and turn his legs into feathers instead. What? Your grandmother bought nose-biting teacups? All right, headmaster. Keep your drawers on. That they're fine pickings for Dementors. Is she still alive, your grandmother? Or wasn't it your grandmother's birthday a few days ago? No, I did not. You're always making things up. My fee is 1 inch for charms and a butterbeer. Oh, you absolute traitor. There. I shan't have my pristine reputation as a below-average wizard smeared. What? A normal teacup? Well, in that case, yes. It was definitely me. Yes, but why would you do that when you could get the actual enchanted ones at Zonko's? And for a good price. That's why you don't use normal ones, silly. That's a ridiculous idea. What if the enchantment goes wrong and you actually seriously hurt someone? Ugh, that's what I've been trying to say for the last half an hour. Get the nose-biting teacups from Zonko's. You little crupmite. I knew it! I couldn't decide between the frog spawn soap and the dung bombs. Thrilled to bits. Says my brother's never been so well behaved since the day he had that bath. I can imagine. They're not revolting. Puffskins are brilliant. I'd have a potful of them if I could. You're lucky he wasn't hungry. Be thankful I wasn't aiming it at you. Be rude all you want. I shall have the last laugh when I've saved up my galleons from all the hair. Puffskin hair. I've got bags of the stuff. And one day I shall sell it, and then you'll be crying. For potions. See? I'm happy to share, as long as I can sit with you both at the dinner table. Since no one ever wants to sit by me, he's under my bed. And I've told you, his name's Balthazar. I honestly don't care. Why must you keep insisting that I'm out to impress her? I did it for fun, not to impress her, nor you. What? No one's trying to impress anyone. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I confess I was secretly hoping you'd like it. I thought it was wealth and loyalty. Words. And how people say them differently, depending on where they're from. It's like a code. Like a code, isn't it? What? No, I tried a draft someone had made. No, not that one. The one who scratches her head a lot and says it's wasp bites. A first year. She seemed really nice. Why? Why wouldn't you trust her? Have I been concocted? So you've said. Anyway, I had a new one, didn't I? Wind Wisp. I'd have it now if someone hadn't cast the disillusionment charm on it. How did you know? Yes. It was him. It's true. There's a boy in our common room. Had his eye on it the second I got it. He told me. Was anyone with you? Selkies have nasty teeth. Well, that's what I've heard. Were you afraid? I wish we could see the lake from our common room. And was she beautiful? Did you feel that the mermaid was trying to communicate with you? Really? What do you think she was trying to say? Astounding. Got any pepper imps? I didn't hear anything. You wouldn't catch me keeping one. What do you mean? Like what? I'm sure lots of people are happy to write their every thought down on paper and have someone find it. Speaking of Peeves, I heard he drenched that poor boy again. You know the one. Hufflepuff. Winks a lot. Instead of what we have or haven't already achieved. I might even do that too. Yes, I think I shall. And I believe there would be more power in not telling anyone. I believe there's a power in secrecy. It's its own form of magic. I'm not sure I care what I did in the past. Shouldn't I perhaps be writing down what I hope to do in the future? You're entitled to your opinion. Doesn't mean I'm obliged to agree. You can mock, but when you wake up one day in his class and can't remember your name, you'll be sorry. Yes. She says you only have so many heartbeats and only so much room in your head, and when it's full, it's full. That's what I'm saying. My grandmother says that you only have so many heartbeats in your lifetime. Same thing. Can you remember the date Bin said Emmerich the Evil was slaughtered? Oh dear. Suppose you haven't been counting your heartbeats either. I'm afraid it might be. Topping it up with what? Omi? What for? Why don't you go and see Nurse Blaney? I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. Nurse Blaney would never do anything like that. And did it help? When are you going to try it then? What about the shrivel figs? Are we likely to feel miserable afterwards? Oh, better, I'd imagine. No, but I mean afterwards. Won't we feel some degree of magnified sadness after being so euphoric? Well, I for one can't wait to tap into this wonderful joyfulness. I suspect it'll bring us closer as friends too. I'd rather go alone. I suppose there are some advantages to not going to a dance on your own. An obvious one would be that you know you'll have a dance partner. I don't believe so. I think he was simply presenting how one might feel, or specifically how he might feel. What? What's settled? I think he was hungry. Balthazar loves me. I'm his best friend, but I've had him since he was tiny. He doesn't know anyone else. I'm his friend. No, he wasn't. I would imagine. No. Balthazar did nothing wrong. It was completely my fault, and now I just want you all to stop talking about it. As I said, he must have been hungry. And I might have forgot to leave him some pellets. Third. Yes, precisely. I hope you know that it isn't true. Pfft, no, of course not. I told you. It was Balthazar. What? Oh, nothing. Scratched myself with a quill. I swear. She was only itchy because of a stinging jinx that the other girl put on her. It was not a bite from a flea. And you should have seen her face. It was horrific. Thank you. Glad someone finally believes me. It was a spontaneous outing. We had intended to study, but then I really fancied something sweet. Well, just don't tell anyone, will you? He got them from one of Howland's Neasels, I'm sure of it. All too well. Not on your life. Oh, we did get you a cauldron cake. Oh, what was that called? Goodness, I didn't know that was even possible. Yes. Very clear then. What to expect with that one. What sort of wood was it? On the walls? No reason, really. Just trying to get the image of entrails out of my head.
Oh, not again. I'll get you for this. Please, Peeves, you'll make me late.
Oh, please, can't we take these socks back to Mr. Hill and get me some normal ones? I look nothing like a sheep. I'd rather have no socks than be dancing like this. What are you doing with a sheep? You can't bring a sheep into school. See? And you'd said the charm'd come out in the wash, but it hasn't. Why did you buy me a second pair? I hate these socks.
I thought your mother was nice. You can call me Professor. Oh, hawk clumps can be quite nasty. They spread quickly too. Can ruin a garden almost overnight. I'm sure Garlic would have a suggestion for you. At least it's just hawk clumps. Your sister sounds charming. Well, I'm just saying. My auntie once had an infestation of bundymuns in her floorboards. Oh, now that's a stench. People were talking about it in the girls' lavatory, so it must have been memorable. Apology accepted. But why would your mother send you a howler? Seems rather extreme. Rotten to have hawk clumps, I'm sure. But you'd be getting more than a howler if it was, say, a venomous tentacula. Quite a logical outcome, really. Excess of earthworms. Completely plausible to attract hawk. Well, perhaps it's because I work harder. Your mandrake did nearly die. That's absurd. I don't think she even knows I'm there. All I'm saying is I exhibited far more knowledge of Devil's Snare and it didn't seem to count for anything. Potty? What do you mean, potty? Yes? Oh, I see. I suppose that is rather different then, isn't it? Do you think I could borrow your homework? See? I don't know why you'd be scared. It's not as if anything can happen while the teacher's around. When my mother was here, it was a different professor. Apparently nowhere near as nice as Weasley. Oh, it wasn't serious. Although, there was that one time that Hilda turned Astoria Cricket into a worm. Oh, wait. Orgrace, I don't know why you're so worried. Just don't sit next to Hilda. Simple as that. Never mind. What do you mean? Yes, I suppose you're right. How can they not? If I'd grown up with a sister who was a player, I'm sure my skills on the pitch would be better. Gosh, I didn't think I'd feel so relieved. But you're right. I have absolutely no skill whatsoever. What a good job. Yes. I suppose you're right. Not really a need for accuracy on the moors, is there? Bad habits. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have a sister. Beg your pardon? Oh, that's right. And Swivenhodge. That used a pig's bladder. We've a nerve to complain then, haven't we? Oh, that's a secret. The Department of Magical Games and Sports doesn't want us getting ideas. 1538, wasn't it? When they banned using them against the other team? If you think it's boring, next time we play, I'd be happy to attack you with an axe. Apparently, they'd set fire to an opponent's broomtail and attack it with a club. Barbarians we were. Then I fully concur. It's beyond boring. Next time I play, I shall fly with the intent to collide. I dream of being as good as Eunice Murray. I never could be, though. Gosh, can you imagine? That's nice of you to say. I think it's what she said that intimidates me. Eunice Murray. You think it's about the broom, then? Yes, that's precisely what I'm referring to. Can you imagine? Someone thinking the snitch too slow. What do you mean? You really think the magpies would take me one day? You're not a bad chap for Slytherin, are you? I knew I could smell a rat. But thank you. Really. I think it's funny. I could just imagine Black dipping his toes into a hot foot bath and finding a bar of frog spawn soap. I think he made it up, though. Don't you? I wonder why he chose to say it was Black. Silly of him, though, to say he'd put the frog spawn soap in Black's foot bath. Why do you say that? You think his talk's bigger than his walk? If he'd told us he'd played a trick on someone less notorious, well, we might have believed him. Surely one stink pellet couldn't bring about such change. Really? Now that I think of it, I did see him last week looking a bit distraught. Had he done something awful? I thought your sister was well behaved. Oh dear, sounds dreadful. There is the chance that she'll take to the frog and still want to keep using stink pellets for the green smoke. Why does your mother keep buying her the stink pellets? That does sound rather absurd. Can't you buy her something else green? What about the frog? Although, a few years? No point living in a vile cesspit of stink. I'd simply stay away. For Merlin's sake, stop going on about this. Learn the bubblehead charm and have done with it. Or you could simply wait until she grows out of it. Perhaps cast it when you're near me, so I won't be able to hear any more about this horrendously naughty sister. It's an obvious solution. When you go home, you can live a perfectly normal life. I'll take an odorous projectile any day. Yes, it was fantastic. Scribner was red as a Chinese fireball. I dropped 2 outside the library last week. The smoke was so thick I reckon I could have sneaked into the restricted section. Of course, exactly. I like most of the professors. Especially Garlic. I try to be the most considerate towards her. No, it doesn't interest me. If I'm going to get detention, I'd rather it involve something that came from Zonko's. No, I truly only want to make horribly bad smells. Mainly in the vicinity of nuisance first years. That's absurd. You could pick any point in history and say that's when everything changed, because things are changing all the time. That's the point of history. Yes, and I had a cheese sandwich yesterday. That was the best one I've ever had. It was especially unique. Yes, well, I'm not just anyone, am I? Yes, we must get back to your point, like my cheese sandwich. How did you know? I did 26 hours of homework last week. That's far too much responsibility for one person to bear. Besides, I'm sure you're warming his heart. When you stood up and answered his question on the werewolf code of conduct, I swear he shed a tear. Do you think she's still annoyed that you answered her back that day? Over the puffskein food? Howin doesn't mean anyone any harm. What are you talking about? I was a bit surprised. Answering Garlic back could be one thing, but Howin? You're lucky you made it out alive. You'll simply have to be more polite to teachers in future. In herbology. Fine, but be forewarned. I mainly drew a picture of a bush. If Weasley had seen them, they'd soon be out. There was literally one thing she said about it. How could you not note it down? Yes, I've seen you cast Glacius. It's as if a snowman has the hiccups. No need to be like that. Anyway, he was only practicing with matches. I'm sure you didn't simply transfigure a hedgehog your first try. You'd have been had if she didn't know your mother. I think you do well with the little stool. I can see you now with your troves of honking daffodils. How very gentlemanly of you. I'm sure you'll have the girls and boys swooning. Handsome chap like you won't be shy of suitors. Shall you still charge me more?
Oh, wouldn't that be marvellous? Imagine if she brought in a unicorn. Yes. What on earth could be bad about bringing a unicorn to class? I'm sure the teacher wouldn't present it in class if she thought it would disappear. Can you imagine? I think we should ask Professor Howin if we can bring them in. If the Muggles were able to use diricals in their minds, well, it'd simply disappear. No death needed. Oh, that's horrible. Don't be silly. It'd just nuzzle you. Yes, well, it likely would be. Unless you were an impatient sort, I suppose. Oh, that'd be fun. Oh, I don't know. Horses can go quite fast, I've heard. They race them in some parts. If we could enchant a horse, so we could fly on it. Oh, how fun. I'm sure the prefects would have found her out if she was. Oh, I can't believe she said no. I think my mother knows a friend of hers. I shan't let this drop. Oh, I'd find it quite thrilling. I think they're fantastic little creatures. You're all extremely boring. Next time I'm planning something festive, I shall be sure to not invite any of you. Oh, dear. Please do. I shall look forward to it. Oh, I bought one from him recently. Excellent it was. Beautiful illustrations of beasts. Well, there's an entire chapter on the hippocampus. Did you know they have transparent eggs? Oh, let me know and I'll come with you. Good. If you need any assistance with beasts, I can always help you. I love that class. Despite Howin. Oh, stop. I'm already taken, if you must know. I met someone at Steepley's, if you must know. And I don't mind saying, they're rather delightful. That's absurd. You almost drowned your own mandrake. But did you ever not get what you wanted? On your birthday, for example. Yes, she was a bit lax there, I'd say. Too much racket, no doubt. I don't know how she thinks with those things going. Don't worry, it wasn't that funny. Stop being so mean. You're just jealous because you need a field of Alahotzi to get someone to even crack a smile. Don't get yourself worked up now. It was only a nightmare. Oh, I can imagine. We don't think you're very sharp-witted either. How very unusual. I'm quite partial to measles myself. I'm sure Nurse Blaney could give you some sort of draught to help soothe you. Oh, mine? Definitely black. The man terrifies me. No, I I don't think that would happen. You'd have to look, I don't know, scary or something. You don't need to fear them, you know. They'll only attack if they think you're up to something untoward. I found a flower on my composition book once. Yes, don't mind him. He told me once his Boggart's an imp with a custard pie. What? Oh. Oh, well, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It was just a flower. A rose. A red rose. Oh, don't be silly. Who has notes from potions? You're so mean. Oh, goodness, I wouldn't want one. I mean, depending upon who it was from, of course. What? I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but what did this person say exactly? It's just the same for me. My sister wore her uniform till it was threadbare, and my mother still passed it on to me. It's not my business, but it seems a little excessive. Why make him so important as to take such a risk? I wouldn't mind if it was only my normal school uniform, but for Quidditch it certainly helps if it fits. No, not at all. I should think Astoria would be thrilled if you simply invited her for a butterbeer. They ride horses. By the time Quidditch comes back, we'll all have grown into our uniforms. I wish he'd simply change his mind. I suppose there is one good thing. I'm simply saying that if Muggles have the wherewithal to ride horses, they might possibly do well in Quidditch. I believe she's agreeing with you. What do you mean? How is a brand new Windwisp second rate? Oh, second rate and second hand. How do you know it's used, anyway? The Windwisp. Did the rain give it a good wash, then? Did you ask him? How else can he have the chance to adjust the price? About the sales price? Perhaps he could have made a concession for you, in light of the dust. He must be the youngest shopkeeper in Hogsmeade, I think. Yes. I feel they're fair. So much effort, and for what end? But Quidditch is a tradition, isn't it? People will probably play it for thousands of years. Not just about getting some air in your lungs, then. We shall hold you to that when Black brings it back. If Black brings it back. Why? What are you offering in return? Very clever. Rats are highly intelligent. Almost as clever as us, I'd say. Not really. Surprise is more like it. My own fault for not putting my Wellingtons away after the walk. He could have chewed through the soles if I hadn't caught him in time. On what? I had put my good shoes on near the greenhouse, ready to come back into school, and forgot my boots. Silly me. Well, I do keep a lucky knut in my boot. I'd thought it to be a rat, a large one. But when it climbed out of my boot, it was a niffler. Well, whenever I have my lucky knut, I always find something useful. I shall see. But that's the sort of thing that happens when I have my lucky knut. Yes, that's what I thought too. I shall keep it, in case I hear of someone who lost some. Yes, I found some fluxweed seed, a little paper bag filled with them. Yes, of course you can borrow it, any time you like. Oh, I don't think it works like that. I did nothing of the sort. Oh, you can borrow it too, if you like. That was for an assignment from Sharp. Good. Of course I didn't. I didn't need to. He was clearly taken by me. Oh, shut up. Sharp likely sees you can barely keep a cauldron upright. Because he doesn't think the Chudley Cannons are a good team. Oh, do shut up. Really? Now you see my dilemma. Exactly. But I don't understand. How could you ever think you'd do well on a broom if you're afraid of heights? Oh, good. That's a relief. In the meantime, should I simply ignore the other one? Yes, I hadn't really thought about it that way. I think you should tell your father. Stand up for yourself. You might be surprised anyway. Perhaps he'll be fine. No, of course not.
Oh no, Sir Fitzroy, my toad! He's left me! It's the most stupid thing anyone has ever done! There he is! You telltale, it was not! What in Merlin's? What a stupid thing to do! Oh, Fitzroy, you naughty boy. Nothing, Professor Weasley.